Hey everyone, Mike Swig here, and today I'm sitting down with my buddy Art. We're going to be talking about remote working, traveling, and teaching English online. So Art, tell us a little bit about yourself. Thanks so much for coming out here. He's got a great channel called Gringo Nation where he films YouTube videos for traveling, working abroad. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What do you like to do?
It's an absolute pleasure being here today, so thanks for the invitation. I'm originally from São Paulo, Brazil, although I'm also an American because I spent about 10 years of my childhood in LA, and consequently my parents got citizenship, so me and my sister did as well.
Dual citizenship.
Dual
That's awesome.
citizenship,
That's the dream,
yeah.
man. I'm envious of that.
It's helpful for travelers, for sure.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm what people like to call a slow traveler. I like to spend extended periods of time in different countries. So I'd say one of my main passions is music, though. I got that maybe from my parents, who are also musicians. I play a variety of instruments, and I like to write and record songs. Although I must say, I think that part of me has been a little eclipsed by my travel life lately, because it's kind of hard to travel around with all the gear and instruments and stuff. So on my free time, I actually like reading books. I'm reading your book right now, which I'm enjoying very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I like watching movies as well. I watch about 15 movies a month. Although I must say, making these YouTube videos, I just don't have a lot of free time lately.
Right.
So I dedicate a lot of it to YouTube.
Have you seen any good movies lately? Like, what's been your favorite?
Yeah, I thought you might ask me that, and I have a really good answer. I watched a movie called I Care a Lot. It's with Rosamund Pike. She did Gone Girl. I definitely recommend you check out that movie. It's great.
Awesome. Yeah, we're always looking for new movies to watch. We just watched Parasite again. Have you seen that?
I have seen Parasite. I saw it in theaters actually when it came out, and I absolutely loved it, of course.
Yeah, we watched it when it first came out, and then we rewatched it. And there's these little tiny details that I didn't pick up on the first time. So if you've already seen it, it's worth a second rewatch.
It's definitely one of those movies that you can find out more stuff as you see it more times. Yeah.
So Art, you've been traveling a lot, and I know this from my personal experience. The more you travel, the longer your bucket list actually becomes. So what are the top 3 things on your bucket list that you're looking forward to in the future?
Yeah, I'm also going to have to narrow these down because mine is absolutely huge as well. But I think this year I'm actually going to be able to cross off one of my main ones, which is to see the pyramids in Egypt. I think now is a great time to go to Egypt because of what is happening in the world. It might be a little more empty, so I'm thinking of going to Egypt this year. I would also like to kind of do the Brazilian coast from north to south. I don't know how long that would take me, but it is my home country and I would like to explore all the beaches in it. I have a dream of maybe seeing the Northern Lights somewhere in Scandinavia. Have you?
Funny story about the Northern Lights is we planned our whole trip. We found these really cheap flights from the US to Iceland. And we're like, we'll go there for a few days and we'll see the Northern Lights. So we were in Iceland for about 4 nights, and our trip got canceled every time. Every time we got canceled, and we're like, we're not going to get to see the Northern Lights. So fortunately, we left Iceland, traveled to Latvia and Lithuania, and on our way back, we had one more night to see the Northern Lights, our kind of main thing to see on this trip. We got really lucky, and we were able to see it, and it's beautiful. It was absolutely amazing. But I think if you're going to plan it, I would suggest looking into Norway or Finland. Okay. They have a much higher success rate. The issue is there's so many other elements that I didn't even know went into seeing the Northern Lights. It's the weather patterns, if the moon's too bright, and there's all these other factors that kind of go into when you can see it. So the chances are a lot higher in northern parts of Norway and Finland. So I suggest that you'll have the highest chances of seeing it if you go to one of those regions.
Perfect. I do want to see Iceland for many other reasons, so I might have to go there anyways, but that's great advice for seeing the Northern Lights. And lastly, I think I'd like to do kind of like an extended train trip, maybe like a Trans-Siberian or something like that.
Very cool. Yeah, that's on my bucket list as well, Trans-Siberian.
See you there, buddy.
So I'm in between Trans-Siberian or Trans-Mongolian.
Right, yeah.
So because the end destinations are a little different, a lot of people say that the Trans-Mongolian one is a little bit nicer. For the end destination, but they both seem like a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I actually read a book called The Grand Railway Bazaar by Paul Thoreau. He did a train ride from like London all the way over to Asia. Not one train ride, but many, and that's an interesting book as well if you'd like to check it out.
Yeah, definitely. I've done some long train rides. I think the longest one I did was from Moldova to Kiev. It was 17 hours, and this is fascinating. I didn't know this at the time, but the train track widths are different. So when you cross into Ukraine, they have different train tracks. So they actually have to change the wheels on the trains. So it was 17 hours and like we're stuck on this train. And we're like, what is going on? Like literally you have to get off for a bit and they change the wheel sizes because it's different.
Wow.
And maybe they fixed this now, but basically like the train sizes are different. And I didn't know this at the time, but it took us 17 hours to get there. It was
Definitely
crazy.
an interesting experience.
Yeah, very cool though.
Awesome.
One of the things that I always like to discuss with people, and I think it's something that I figured out from an early age, is I figured out my why. I figured out my overall goal in life is to visit every country, not just to visit every country, but to experiences with people I love along the way. And I'm curious though, what is your main goal in life? What are you wanting to achieve?
Yeah, so right now I would say my main goal is to be able to live off my creativity somehow and my creative work. That may be through my travel content on YouTube. I am planning on re-releasing my music career maybe in the next year. And I've been working really hard on the YouTube content and also before that on my music. And I'm actually finally starting to see some results, which I'm very happy about. I think one day I would actually like to write a travel memoir. But Mike, ultimately, I realize I just want to cause positive change in people's lives. And I think there's a variety of ways that you can do that, whether it be through music or helping people travel and see the world.
Yeah, I would say that's like another big goal for me. And it's one of those things that I've already started seeing with my book, with my videos. And I wrote my book just to help people. It was kind of like, I want to put what I've learned over 10 years into a book. And I think that's one of the things people really resonated with was how they were able to condense it, learn from my trials and errors. And essentially when I published it, I got reviews coming in where, hey, I read your book. I'm going to get on the next flight to go overseas and start working abroad. And after that review, everything could have stopped because that was worth it for me to help impact one person's life positively. And now I want to do that on a much larger scale. So one of my other big goals is to impact millions in a positive way with YouTube content, with my book. And I think we've kind of are seeing a lot of those early results with our videos of how much people resonate with and how we're able to help people. And honestly, that's the thing that I love about creating content like this is helping people like yourself viewing in. We want to help you get to where you want to be in life. And I think we're going to do it in our own unique way.
Exactly. And we see a lot of questions coming in as well. And actually, while reading your book, I noticed that our lives in some way have been parallel and we've learned a lot of things along the way, which kind of becomes second nature to us. But a lot of people sometimes haven't been through those experiences, so they do need some guidance. And I guess that's what we're trying to provide here, right?
Yeah, so if there's something that comes up, don't hesitate to reach out to one of us. I'm sure between the two of us, we'll be able to help you get your questions answered.
We'll definitely do our best.
So, Art, I know things have been kind of strange with the current world situation now. What does your ideal day look like? Maybe when things come back to normal, what does an ideal day look like for you?
Yeah, right now I'm actually really missing playing the drums. That was my first instrument and I absolutely love it. It's such a great experience. And obviously with traveling, you're not able to do that so much. I haven't played drums regularly since I started traveling in 2014. So it's been quite a while. So I'd say my perfect day would involve playing the drums somehow. After that, if I'm in a city that I'd like to explore, I'd love to go see things around a city that I don't know too well. It would be really cool to do some adrenaline-fueled activity maybe. Like
Right.
I love, whenever I can, I love to bungee jump or skydive
Really?
or something
Wow.
like that. And at night, I'd love to just kind of kick back, watch a movie, have a great dessert, and maybe some wine as well with that.
That's great. I think a lot of people, there's a famous saying from, I think it's Office Space, where they're talking about becoming millionaires.
Yeah.
And he's like, what would you do if you had $1 million? And he's like, I would just sit around and do nothing. And the guy's like, my cousin's broke as you don't need to be a millionaire to do nothing. But I think if you're able to plan your life and when you wake up in the morning to when you go to sleep, do everything on your own terms, that's the true freedom. You don't need to be extremely wealthy to do that. And finding hobbies and planning what your perfect day looks like is a really good exercise to figure out, okay, here's my perfect day, what I want to do between when I wake up and go to sleep. How can I achieve that? And I think creating hobbies that are going to keep you healthy and wealthy are going to be really important to achieving those goals, to making your perfect day.
Yeah, and I think it's quite interesting to think about what your perfect day would look like because I don't think a lot of people realize that you could actually be doing a lot of those things now. So even a few months ago, I was thinking that I would like to play more drums, and I reached out to some Facebook groups, and I was looking for a drum set that maybe I could rent or I can go play somewhere. In the end, it didn't really happen, but at least I tried.
Yeah, that's definitely. I think drums is tough, but finding some sort of musical outlook or people here where you can just get together, maybe borrow their instruments. I'm sure there's some communities, and that's the great thing is living overseas as a digital nomad. I think it's almost easier to connect with these people. People are like more receptive to meeting up than if you're in the States. Maybe you have your own clique or your own group, but there's always somebody out there who's looking to help whatever hobby you're looking for. For me personally, I just bought a basketball because the weather was coming nice here. We've been inside so much lately with the lockdowns that I just bought a basketball, and I've been able to go shoot and like kind of make it exercise until the gyms open up. It's kind of therapeutic to just shoot hoops for me.
Yeah.
So just finding whatever that hobby is to kind of get you out of the house now that a lot of people are remote working, I think is essential.
And your perfect day involves playing basketball.
Yes, shooting hoops for sure. So Art, I talk about this in my book, is some of the fastest ways to become a digital nomad, to become a remote worker is teaching English online. And I know it's become a bit of a competitive space. How are people able to get started with teaching English online? How did you get started? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I guess I can only speak to my experience in teaching online. I work for a company called VIPKID. They are based in Beijing, China. And to work for them, you actually do need to be American or Canadian. You have to have a bachelor's degree. It doesn't have to be teaching related, but you do have to have a degree. And it's not necessary, but it is preferable that you have a TEFL certificate. There are a lot of other companies in which you don't need to be American, and you may not even need a bachelor's degree, but you will probably need the TEFL certificate anyways. So Mike, I would say if you want to get started with teaching English, probably the best thing you can do right away is get a TEFL certificate. You can do in-class courses, of course. I did mine in Thailand. It just took a month pretty much. But you can also do them online, which I think would be a great option for people nowadays. It's not extremely expensive. I think we're talking about maybe $1,000 or something like that. To get through one of those courses. And from there, you can kind of research what company is best for you in terms of what you have to offer.
Very cool. Yeah, so just to recap, you can essentially go through all of these steps online or remotely. If you're studying right now or if you're looking to get a degree, you could potentially get your university degree or your bachelor degree online. Then after that, if you're looking to pursue online teaching, you can get a TEFL degree online. And then finally come full circle and teach online, do all the steps remotely. So there is a lot of options out there. I think the space has become a little more competitive with this day and nature of what happened in the world with the pandemic. But I think there's still a lot of opportunities out there, and you just have to find one of these companies that are hiring remote English teachers to work online. For any of you listening that want to get started teaching English online, I'm going to leave Art's referral link. If you want to go ahead and apply for a position at VIPKID, you can use that link and you can go ahead and get started with the application process. But in addition to VIPKID, what are some other alternative companies if people want to teach English online?
So Mike, I know a lot of other English teachers here in Georgia, and they use Wales English and also Palfish. And that seems to work really well for them. Apart from that, I've heard very good things about a company called GogoKid. I'm actually looking to maybe have them set up as sort of a backup to VIPKID. And I do know a few other companies that are good for teaching English. They are SayAbc, Zebra, and iTalki, although the only one I really do have experience with is VIPKID. But I would say GogoKid is something very similar to VIPKID.
Have you heard of English First? That's, I think, one of the largest companies. I've talked to a few people who've worked there. I don't know if you've met anybody.
Maybe I have met someone that works for that, but I don't know too much about it.
Yeah. So we'll try to recap and leave all of this information below in the description. So if you're looking to find more details about where to apply, we'll try to leave like the top 5 biggest places to teach English online. So check out the description below.
I'll also put a link down below about the 10 companies that can hire you if you by chance do not have a bachelor's degree.
Perfect. Yeah, that's great information to know. So I've talked to a lot of English teachers, and I know there's a lot of pros and cons. So let's go ahead and start off. What would you say are the pros of teaching English online?
Yeah, so one of the biggest pros obviously is that you can teach from anywhere. I'm not just talking about, outside of your home, but obviously in various cities and countries. Basically, you just need good internet, good lighting, and an iPad.
So do you need an iPad to teach, or can you use your laptop? What is it?
No, you don't need to have an iPad. I started teaching on my laptop, and I decided to get an iPad as sort of a backup because you never know what may happen with the company's software. Sometimes it does go kind of weird, and then you might need an iPad. It's happened to me various times before.
Yeah, it's always good to have a backup device when you're
Exactly.
traveling, for sure.
I'd say another one of the pros is actually being able to build your work schedule. You can work however many hours you want a week. I actually only work about 20 hours a week, which leaves me a lot of time to work on my creative endeavors. And to me, that is one of the greatest advantages.
Yeah, that seems pretty great. Let's say one week you want to work 40 hours, and then the next week you can work 20. It's really up to your travel schedule or what's going on in your life. So I've known that about VIPKid. I've heard that great things about that. I don't think is it like that for most other companies, or is it kind of vary?
I think it's pretty much like that for all of the companies. I know with VIPKid, there is no minimum teaching that you have to do a week or a month. So my friend Nikki actually works for VIPKid as well, but she has another job, so she doesn't really teach anymore. Every now and again, she'll get an email from VIPKid which says like, if you open up one slot, we'll give you $20. So every now and again, she'll just teach one class and make like $30 for teaching 25 minutes, which is great.
Wow. So per hour, what is kind of a roundabout guesstimate of what people can earn teaching English if they just got started?
Yeah, I'd say you're looking, at least with VIPKid, you're looking at about $20 an hour. But that's another advantage of teaching English online is that, at least with VIPKid, the lessons are prepared for you. So there's not really a lot of prep that you need to do. You just kind of walk into a classroom and teach a PPT slide. So it's basically 25 slides in 25 minutes and you're done. You're not thinking about your job before or after class.
Oh, wow, that's really good. I didn't know that. So on the flip side, I always like to talk about the pros and the cons of everything we discuss on this channel. What would you say are some of the cons of teaching English online?
Yeah, I'd say one of the main cons for me is just having to teach the same lessons over and over again. It can get pretty tiring talking about farm animals every day and having that high energy that's needed to teach, or singing. How many times can you sing BINGO in one day, Mike? It gets pretty
Yeah,
tiring.
probably not more than a few.
I'd say another disadvantage is that I'd say most of the kids are quite behaved, but a lot of the times you do have to deal with discipline, and it's just not something you're really prepared to tackle every day. It's definitely not something I like doing.
There's always that one troublemaker who can kind of throw things off, right?
Yeah, and sometimes they want to continue to have classes with you, and you tell the parents, you're like, I'm not sure we're a good fit, but
Yeah.
for some reason they always keep coming back. Mike, another disadvantage, I guess, would be you're gaining a certain salary, and I think those companies a lot of the times make it a little difficult for you to get a raise. So you get pretty stagnant after a while, and if you're looking to expand your income, it's not always the easiest.
Yeah, so I think that's really good advice is with teaching English online, you're gonna start at a good spot, but to, really get 10, 20% higher income, you're really gonna need to look at a side hustle. So I'd say that's probably one of the competitive advantage is you're allowed to work on these other side hustles. But again, I think teaching English online is something, unless you really love it and it's a passion for you, you really need to look for a transition point within 1 to 2 years and kind of start working on that. So it does give you a lot of flexibility to do that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. I've noticed I do have still some free time where I can work on some of my side hustles. So that is helping the income grow at least a little for now.
So Art, thanks so much for coming on today. If you're looking to check out Art's channel, you can go to Gringo Nation. We'll leave all the details that we discussed about in the description below. So make sure to check out Art's channel, Gringo Nation. Give him a subscribe, give him some support. We're both small YouTubers, and we really appreciate you guys sticking around for the whole video. If you haven't yet, make sure to smash the like button and make sure you subscribe because we're putting out new content every week, and we love all the new subscribers that are coming into our channels. Thanks again, Art, for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me today, Mike.
Yeah, buddy.
Absolute pleasure.
So much fun. Awesome.